In 1937, during World War II, German forces led by the infamous General Sedlitz Gabler launched a brutal and terrifying bombing raid on Warsaw, the capital of Poland, obliterating everything in sight and reducing the city to ashes. One Polish family was hit directly in the airstrike. Every family member perished, except for one little boy who miraculously survived. His name was Igor Tarkovsky. The boy grew up seemingly normal, but over time, he discovered he had an extraordinary gift: the ability to penetrate other people's minds and read their thoughts as clearly as if they were written on an open page. At first, this ability terrified him. He thought of it as a curse and suffered a lot because of it. So, he decided to leave Poland and move to America to start a new life with his uncle. Upon arriving in the U.S., Igor walked into a local bank to exchange currency. While standing in line, he heard the thoughts of a gang planning to rob the bank. He overheard their entire plan, including the fact that their leader, who had taught them some kind of magic, was armed with a gun. They were about to execute the robbery shortly. Did Igor stay quiet? Of course not. He decided to be a hero and called the police. And this time, unlike in most Hollywood movies, the cops arrived astonishingly quickly, arresting the gang and confiscating their robbery tools before the heist could even begin. Igor Tarkovsky, the hero of the underdogs. But Igor soon realized his talent extended beyond merely reading minds. He could also plant thoughts in people's heads using the power of suggestion. In one instance, he found himself in a challenge against a guy named Harry over the affection of a schoolgirl. For the challenge, Igor brought 2 juice cans, claiming one of them contained a deadly poison. He asked Harry to choose one to drink while he'd drink the other. Being a young man eager to impress a girl, Harry threw caution to the wind and accepted the challenge. Harry chose a can and drank from it while Igor drank from the other. Moments later, Harry began writhing in pain, clutching his stomach, and screaming in agony. Everyone believed Harry had chosen the poisoned drink. But the twist. Both cans were just ordinary juice Igor had bought from the cafeteria. Igor had simply implanted the idea in Harry's mind that the drink he picked was poisoned, and Harry's body responded accordingly due to the power of suggestion. After this incident, Harry became the school clown, with everyone laughing at his gullibility. Ironically, Igor didn't win the heart of the girl with hazel eyes. She had been secretly crushing on someone else all along. This incident didn't go unnoticed, though. The American intelligence agency got wind of Igor's abilities and visited him at home, bouquet in hand. They offered him a deal he couldn't refuse. Join a team of extraordinary individuals with extrasensory perception, ESP, in exchange for incredible benefits. Of course, Igor had read their minds as soon as they walked through the door and knew he had no choice but to accept. But he agreed on one condition. He wanted information about the German general who had destroyed his home and family. Remember the name of that infamous German general from earlier? Yes, Sedlitz Gabler. Igor wanted to settle the score with him. And he did manage to find Gabler, but there was a shocking twist. He couldn't read Gabler's mind. The reason? Gabler wasn't ordinary either. He possessed a unique ability called negative telepathy, which made his thoughts impervious to intrusion. What happens next? Does Igor find a way to defeat Gabler? If you're eager to know, the full story is detailed in one of the famous novels. Yes, all of this was just a summary and, unfortunately, entirely fictional. Surprised? Disappointed? Feel tricked? Don't worry. I'll make it up to you shortly. There is a 6th dimension, beyond man's understanding and beyond man's control. It is a dimension as fleeting as a thought and as profound as a connection. It is the middle ground between the seen and the unseen, between silence and speech, and it lies between the depths of isolation and the heights of shared consciousness. This is the dimension of telepathy. It is an area which we call the mind's whisper. Surely, at some point while sitting at home, you've witnessed your mom, placing her hand on her heart and saying, "Bring me Jonathan." Who is Jonathan? Of course, it's her son, who also happens to be your brother, the one who has been working in Sweden for 2 years now. As the dedicated family member you are, you ask her, "Why are you suddenly thinking about him, Mom?" She replies, "I don't feel good about this." I have a sense that something's wrong and he's in pain. To comfort her, you say, "All right, Mom, let me call him right now and check on him." You dial, but Jonathan doesn't pick up. Now your mom starts panicking, wailing, "Something must have happened to him. Bring me Jonathan." After several attempts, you finally manage to reach your brother. You ask him, "What were you doing yesterday afternoon?" He replies, "I had a minor accident and broke my leg, but thank God, it wasn't serious." You pause, lost in thought, wondering about the marvels of God's creation. Then, the million-dollar question hits you. How did my mom know something was wrong with Jonathan at that exact moment? And surely, you've had that moment when you're scrolling through your phone, stumble upon the name of an old friend, and suddenly recall memories of them. You decide to call them, but before you press the button, your phone lights up with an incoming call from that same friend. "You just came to mind," they say, "so I thought I'd call you." Or those countless other times when you're thinking of a particular, unusual idea, only to have someone close to you voice the exact same thought, using the exact same words in your head. Surprised, you exclaim, "You took the words right out of my mouth. Are you reading my mind?" Events like these pique your curiosity, making you wonder about their explanation. But, as an average person drowning in the day-to-day grind of water shortages, electricity outages, and debts, you brush it aside. Your curiosity fades, swallowed up by life's endless responsibilities. But we haven't forgotten. We're here to dig into the mystery with you. So grab a flask of water, a sprig of mint, 2 falafel sandwiches, and a cup of tea, and let's get started, dear daydreamer. When we step back and observe the world of science, we find fields like experimental, natural, abstract, and social sciences. These sciences hold a key feature that makes them widely trusted and agreed upon among scientists: measurability. But there are 2 other types of sciences that, while significant and well-known, remain the subject of heated debates among scholars because they are simply not measurable. The first is pseudoscience, like astrology and fortune-telling. The second is the study of parapsychology, which delves into phenomena beyond the natural senses and the tangible world. This science is slippery, like mercury, elusive yet intriguing, offering theories and experiments that are truly thought-provoking. Parapsychology, in short, is the study of abilities that surpass sensory perception and do not rely on the usual senses of hearing, sight, touch, or smell. These abilities can affect vast distances, transcend time barriers, predict future events, or uncover past ones. These extraordinary abilities are grouped under extrasensory perception, ESP, and include mind-blowing phenomena such as telekinesis, moving objects from afar, precognition, foreseeing the future, clairvoyance, gaining knowledge of an event or object without using the senses, and the famous sixth sense. They also cover areas like ghosts and dreams, but the most prominent of all is telepathy, or mind reading. One famous parapsychological story comes from the RAND Corporation, one of the most prestigious scientific and military research institutions in the U.S., known for conducting highly classified studies. The report in question consisted of torn-out pages from an old book by the American author Morgan Robertson titled Futility, or The Wreck of the Titan. The story revolves around a giant ship imagined by the author in 1898. Weighing 70,000 tons, 240 meters long, and powered by 3 massive propellers, this ship was an outlandish concept at the time, a leap beyond the realm of imagination. In the novel, the author named the ship Titan and depicted it carrying 3,000 passengers on its maiden voyage amid grand celebrations. It sailed across the ocean in early April but met with disaster. The ship encountered heavy fog, collided with an iceberg, and sank. The novel gained some fame for a while, but later faded into obscurity. Fast forward to a report presented to the RAND Corporation. It describes a real-life giant ship that made headlines in every newspaper. A maritime marvel. Here's the incredible part. This real ship embarked on its maiden voyage in 1912, 14 years after the novel's publication. It weighed approximately 70,000 tons, technically 66,000 tons, measured 248 meters in length, and had 3 powerful propellers. Its name: Titanic. Notice the similarities. Same weight, similar length, Nearly identical name. Just an added IC. What's more, the Titanic also set sail in early April, carried 3,000 passengers, and departed amid great fanfare. It, too, encountered fog, struck an iceberg, and sank on April 10, 1912. Even the passengers' desperate actions during the sinking mirrored the vivid details described by the author Morgan. The burning question for us, and for the Rand Corporation, is this. How did Morgan foresee such an event with such precision? Was it a special gift? Could he read the future? Did he possess a form of mental telepathy, or were hidden forces guiding his pen to dictate those details? I ask you, dear reader, do you have a rational, scientific, logical, or psychological explanation? Now, here's another intriguing story. On a November night in 1966, Soviet scientist Nikolaev sat alone in a lead-lined room. Before him was a small paper inscribed with random, nonsensical words and a meaningless sketch, created by a scientist on the spur of the moment. Nikolaev stared at it for a few moments while monitoring devices in Moscow recorded nothing unusual. Meanwhile, 1,000 kilometers away in Leningrad, his colleague Kaczynski sat in a similar room under identical conditions. Suddenly, Kaczynski wrote down the same words and drew the identical sketch on a blank sheet of paper, handed it to a nearby scientist, and said, "I don't know what this means, but this is what was sent to me." The scientists in Moscow and Leningrad were stunned. Kaczynski had received Nikolaev's mental message with astonishing accuracy, as though his brain were a highly sophisticated wireless receiver. How could this happen? How is this even possible? This incident was disclosed by Soviet scientist Vladimir Feidman, a renowned parapsychologist, during a 1968 conference on extraordinary phenomena. He didn't attempt to provide a scientific explanation but termed it mental telepathy, the same term coined by Frederick Myers in 1882 to define this phenomenon, the transfer of thoughts from one person to another without any physical medium. Among the most prominent proponents of telepathy was British scientist Joseph Sinnott, who dedicated much of his life to proving its existence. He likened it to wireless communication. The human brain generates electrical signals that travel through the nervous system to control the body. Sinnott theorized that when these signals reach a certain intensity, they can transfer from one brain to another without needing nerves as conduits, effectively traveling wirelessly. Despite advances in medicine and technology, large parts of the human brain remain a mystery. Scientists have studied every cell and identified each part's function, except for two areas, the pineal gland and the frontal lobe. While they've partially understood the pineal gland's role, the frontal lobe remains entirely enigmatic. Is it the station for telepathic transmission and reception? No one knows. One of the strongest cases for telepathy is Peter Herko's, a Dutchman born in 1911. Herko's life took a dramatic turn in 1941 when he fell from a four-story building while helping his father paint. He survived the fall, spending nearly a month in the hospital. During his recovery, he discovered an extraordinary ability. When he touched an object, he could see the events and sounds associated with it, whether the object was animate or inanimate. Herko's ability was so remarkable that even Scotland Yard acknowledged it, inviting him to England in 1951 to assist in solving the mystery of the missing Scone diamond. His contributions impressed various police agencies, and each time he worked on a case, he achieved astonishing results. Yet despite his successes, Herko's never gained recognition from the scientific community, nor did any skeptical scientists attempt to test his abilities, perhaps out of fear of uncovering the truth. In 2008, Dr. Ganeshan Venkat Subramanian and his colleagues conducted brain imaging on a psychologist who claimed telepathic abilities. The psychologist was able to describe pre-prepared images with surprising accuracy, offering evidence of his telepathic ability. In a 2014 study published in PLOS One, neuroscientists demonstrated the transfer of words like hello between participants separated by 8,000 kilometers. The sender, located in India, used transcranial magnetic stimulation, TMS, to encode binary signals, zeros and ones, which were emailed to participants in France. These signals were then decoded into the original words with an error rate of just 1% to 11%. So, what does all this tell us? Perhaps the line between science fiction and reality isn't as clear-cut as we think. The human mind remains a vast, uncharted territory full of wonders and mysteries. While skeptics may scoff, one thing is certain: we've only scratched the surface of what we're capable of. Could telepathy, as a metaphysical science, evolve into something measurable and implementable? This concept may have inspired Elon Musk to develop a brain chip capable of connecting to electronic devices via Bluetooth. With this technology, humans could potentially control their environment, vehicles, or devices purely with their thoughts. The brain's electrical impulses, already measurable and manipulatable, suggest that telepathic communication might one day shift from the realm of the mystical to the scientific. Finally, my dear reader, be cautious. Someone might be reading your thoughts right now. Or perhaps I'm reading yours. Yes, you. The one wearing a white t-shirt, sipping coffee, thinking I'm boring and tedious. Wait, are you Jonathan's brother in Sweden? The one with the broken leg? Stay right there. I'm on my way.